What's good, y'all? It's the Project Man. And tonight, matter of fact, we are going to be talking about what I haven't talked about. And it took me a minute to be able to do it. And I've obviously seen other people talk about it, but I was just thinking to myself, like, well, first of all, I was trying to find the time to really do this video and find a free day to be able to talk about it. But finally, I'm able to talk about it. I had the free time to finally do so. But for those of you who don't know, CM Punk had an interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. That's his show that he does his interviews on. And he opened up a can of worms. Not a can of whoop ass like Stone Cold. A can of worms. And, you know, he was just clearing things up. I'm going to keep this brief. This one's probably going to be under 10 minutes. But, yeah, because so many people have talked about it. So I was like, you know what I mean? I ain't going to say too much about it other than the fact that just some key points. Let me see. I'll probably name maybe three. Okay, so one of the key points was, or one of the things that happened, I'll just say, is that, you know, he talked about, for those who don't know, he was in AEW, which is their other company, another wrestling company, the second biggest wrestling company in America. And he was there for a brief stint of time. And so he had said that he enjoyed working with MJF and that he has that, you know, potential in that future to become obviously a mega star and everything. But, you know, he started feeling like a little less of that when he started giving into that small internet community who just like the flips and dives and the cool moves. And so MJF kind of fell into that a little bit when he became a babyface. And I think Punk was pointing that out. But that was just a brief thing. But to get into the key points of what he was saying that, you know, we're not in the same business if you think that having 5-star matches or getting a 5-star rating from some goof when the building's a quarter full, you know, we're not in the same business if that's your situation where you care more about some goof giving you a 5-star rating, which was obviously a shot at Dave Meltzer. For those who don't know, you know, he's the guy who has his own opinion on how highly he rates matches, but it's all opinionated when it comes to wrestling, as we all know. So you shouldn't care about that one person's rating. But yeah, world-renowned wrestling reporter and journalist and all that. But anyway, yeah. And, you know, when I heard that, I was just thinking to myself, you know, a lot of the times in AEW, I just don't think they understand that, like, you know, drawing money matters. I mean, it's a business. No matter, you could be in the food business, the clothing business, the wall business, the door business. Doesn't matter what type of business you're making or what you are producing. At the end of the day, you have to have, you know, good ratings. You have to have great merchandise sales. You have to have seats filled, if not sold out, at least close to it. Like, these are the things you need to have in order for your business to stay afloat, and in order for your business to be taken seriously and to be appealing to other fans. And the way you do that, the ratings, the merchandise sales, the ticket sales, all these things going towards a all-time high or going on the uptick, well, leads to that is stars and captivating storylines. I mean, 5-star matches. It's always funny when people like look at that, and then, you know, of course, matches matter, and of course that, you know, matters. But, you know, you could have a match, but if you had a great story leading up to it, you would be amazed how more people would buy into a match that was built with stars they could believe in and a storyline they can take seriously or they're captivated by. That'll draw all the money and everything, even if the match is bad. So you should care more. You should care about both, but you should care more about your storylines, your promos, your character work, and your angles that set up all these things to make that match important. Because the match, to any normal fan, because that's the thing I feel like AEW struggles with. They don't think about all the fans. They just think about that core audience who only likes the flips and dives. They're not thinking about the casual audience who, when they're clicking with their remote and looking at the screen, they're trying to find a reason to stay on it. And some guy going through a table is not going to make them go, oh, I have to keep watching this. You know, you can't just have chaotic matches and expect that's what's going to stop people's attention. What's going to stop people's attention is when they see a captivating storyline. Maybe it's an angle, maybe it's somebody who's cutting a promo, and they're like, oh, okay, they said something interesting there. I kind of want to, listen to more. Like that, those are the things that are going to capture people's attention. That's why people like Punk and MJF were ratings draw for AEW, and then that weakened because they were having less believable storylines, or their storylines weren't as good, so they could never get back to that viewership that they used to have, which was between 9 to 950, and then the time they were hitting 1 million a couple times. So that's why they haven't been able to get back to that point, is because the last, and I'm still in agreement, even though people like the MJF Adam Cole stuff, I thought it was all right until it had its ending with the devil stuff, and that hasn't been good. To me, still, the last time that AEW had a major storyline that like captivated the wrestling world, to me, was still MJF and Wardlow, in terms of just buying into the story, great weekly television, wanting to see this thing play out. That was the last thing still to me, which was in 2022. That was still the last thing to me they had that really like captivated you on their product. That was the only thing that was like fun and you wanted to see more every week of, until obviously the match. But anyway, to move on, like I said, I'm trying to keep this under 10 minutes. Another thing that was said was the whole Jack Perry situation. For those who don't know, he's a young guy, probably like 24, 25, and he was trying to use real glass, and he used a rental car, and after Tony Schiavone and other different like backstage personnel was telling him no, they asked Punk to tell him no. Punk says he's got to say no, or if you're going to do that on the Wednesday show, because there was a show called Collision that they have on Saturday. They have 2 shows, and Punk was pretty much the face of the Saturday show, and he was like, you're not going to do this on my show, do it on Dynamite. And then when they get on the pay-per-view, they called All In, which was their big show. That's pretty much their WrestleMania now, because they're doing it in Wembley Stadium. They did it last year at Wembley Stadium. Now they're doing it this year at Wembley. And what happened was, dude said, broken, real glass, cry me a river, which was obviously a shot at Punk as he's waiting backstage for his match. And when he got back there, he's like, Punk saying, why do you gotta do this internet stuff? You know what I mean? Like, basically just saying, why are you doing this to appeal to that type of fan base who are gonna find any reason and find anything to put dirt on the product. And that's what he did. And Jack Perry was like, do something about it. And then Punk said, I can freaking kill you. And then I guess he may have got too close, and Punk said, he just choked the guy out a little bit. There was no punches. And he called Tony Khan, who was the boss and CEO of the company, you don't have any control over your company. You're a clown. I quit. And before he quit, he still did the match that he had with Samoa Joe. He did the match with him, and he did it for Samoa Joe, who was a longtime friend of his, and Jerry Lynn and other people that he respected. And that's why he did the match. And now it's his last match at AEW. It was All In 2023. And so that's what he pointed out, just opened a can of worms on that story. And he couldn't open a can of worms on the story about All Out, where he had the fight with the Elite, Hangman, Kenny, and the Bucks. He didn't get into that because obviously there's the NDA there. But he said, I didn't have to sign an NDA for anything I did wrong. You know what I mean? So he was saying that. And so we may or may never know what happened back there, or kind of how the fight went down backstage. But yeah. But then the last thing I think that I can think of that was newsworthy was the Hangman Adam Page promo, where he apparently what happened was CM Punk and Hangman Adam Page went over the promo backstage, or before the show went on. And then I don't know what day it was, but they went over the promo, said, I'm going to say this, you say that, boom, boom, boom. So they had it, planned out so that it all makes sense and everything flows. And Hangman, when they got out there live on television, said absolutely nothing of what they discussed. And Punk had to change on the fly because he had to align his response with what makes sense. And Page wasn't making any sense at all out there, and it was confusing. And Punk pointing it out, funny enough, in the promo live, that he's talking in circles. He doesn't know why he's so angry, because by that point they hadn't done anything to each other, so he was angry for no reason and said he was protecting AEW from Punk. And because he thinks he got a guy named Cole Cabana fired, which is a friend of his and used to be a friend of Punk's. And even though he's still to this day not even fired, he was thinking he was getting them fired or whatever. But that whole situation came about, and so that's pretty much all that it was. It was newsworthy, but ultimately he said, he wishes AEW, well, and that he did some fun, good stuff there. And prior to the Hangman promo going on, he had a good time. He was having a good time there, but he even knew that it wasn't going to work by having a separate. They split the roster with basically all the people on the Saturday show like Punk go on that show, and the people who can't stand them go on Dynamite, or switch between both of you are indifferent to it. And Punk told him it was never going to work. Tony Khan that he was never going to work, but Tony didn't want to let him go, so Punk decided he was going to come back and things like that. But pretty much that was all that was to it. I know I didn't keep it under 10 minutes, but I'm about to end it now because I didn't want to keep y'all here too long. But yeah, that's what happened. And my closing thoughts are just, I hope AEW, and unfortunately AEW, I got wind of that, and they had Adam Copeland, former known as Edge, former WWE superstar Edge. They had him start the show in basically kind of a passionate, AEW is the best place to be promo, which was so dumb because all you're doing, a guy that Punk, who's in WWE now, doesn't even work for you anymore, and you're addressing something he said on an interview. Like, be more concerned about putting on a great show, not having your one of your top stars go out there and empower AEW in a promo just because of what Punk said in the interview. A guy who doesn't even work there anymore, so why do you care? It'd be different if he works there, because then, yeah, you're just having bad publicity for our company and you work here. That's different if you work there, but he didn't work there anymore, so who cares how much he craps on the show? You know what I mean? Or on some of the incidents that happened there. But it was weird. I don't know why they have Adam Copeland doing that. That's what he goes by now. That's his real name. And obviously he can't use Edge because of all the trademarks and everything. But yeah, that was stupid. They pretty much let it get to him. And unfortunately, AEW's ratings got lower this week. And yeah, because it just wasn't a good show. I mean, they don't have their captivating storyline, to be a little compare and contrast. WWE have The Rock and Cody and their story, and Drew has his story. They have multiple stories going on that, is getting, as we can see in the ratings that they have going on an uptick, and the hype for WrestleMania. Not that it's been the greatest, but there's still some things there. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, with AEW, they've been doing this whole, I'm going to prove I'm the best wrestler. So they have these tournaments and they wrestle and boom, boom, boom. And I'm not saying they don't have any stories, but their stories just aren't strong stories that everybody can get behind. They're just not strong enough for where people to want to tune in. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Closing thoughts is pretty much just hope AEW is better, because if they get better, the WWE gets better. Because when they put on a good show, the WWE will be forced to put on a greater show. And competition is good because it forces both people to up their game, and the fans enjoy it all in the end. But if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, comment, and subscribe, or comment and hit that subscribe button, as the Prodigy is out. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Comment down below. Is there anything else that happened that you feel I need to address or you want me to talk about? We can talk about it. But shall see you on the next one. Love you guys. Peace.